Hey guys, so today we don't actually have a review, we have an update. This is an update about my trip recently to Vermont. Recently went up there, obviously for the breweries, to get some Alchemist, Heady Topper, Hill Farmstead, and Lawson's. Yeah, actually, my law students have a lot of work today. Sorry, so I'm doing that, and hopefully I'll be coming with you with some reviews soon. So first off, I wanted to let you guys know, what this video is about. You guys can fast forward or skip it if you want. First, I'll be talking about what I have coming, what reviews I've coming up. Two, my opinions on beer hoarding and all that kind of thing. And number three, just a quick run through of my trip in Vermont. If you're interested about knowing how my trip went, or if you want to get some tips, if you want to do that trip, that'll be a good sort for you too. So number one, starting off, I'll be doing a Heady Topper weekly kind of thing. It won't be a full review, but it'll be I'll be running, hopefully having about a can of Heady Topper per week. And I'll be showing you guys and updating you guys on how it ages. John Kimmick from Alchemist talks about how 10 weeks is the point where Heady Topper is at its best. So yeah, interesting to see a beer change and the hops develop in the beer. Or go out in the beer. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. So maybe about a dozen weeks or so of that. Also, I'm excited to bring you guys a battle beers of Hill Farmstead's Abner Double Lawson's Double Sunshine and Alchemist Heady Topper. Three of the best hoppy beers in the world, three of the best beers in the world, and all three from Vermont. That'd be really interesting to have all three in front of me. Never actually seen it before, never actually heard of anyone doing a YouTube review of that, so I'll be doing that. And then I'll also be training for a bunch of beers. So hopefully I'll be bringing you guys some new beers that I'll be training for. So that's it. Number two, talking about beer hoarding. If you guys are curious, you can actually see pictures of my trip on the link below. You can check that out. And talking about beer hoarding, I certainly think there's a negative aspect of that. That when you see people grab cases and cases of a beer, or like they just clean off the shelf and no one is left with any beer left for themselves. For themselves. And my sort of opinion about that is that if you're hoarding for yourself, as in like throwing in your basement just for the cellar, just for yourself, or you're doing it just to imbibe yourself or drink yourself, then I think that's where hoarding is an issue. It's sort of when people, buy 30 cans of a beer and they're just drinking it all themselves and they're not sharing it at all. I mean, in the end, it's your beer, so you can obviously drink it, do whatever you want with it, throw it out, I don't care. But, there's sort of this idea of beer karma and beer community where you do want to promote people having beers. And so for me, you might think there's a lot of beer in that picture. I went with two other friends, but actually, most of the beer is actually going to my friends. A lot of people were not able to make Vermont or didn't want to make Vermont, but still want to try the beer. So a lot of them I'm just handing off to my friends, and then another smaller portion of that is just going to trading. There are people in Ohio, California, Florida who don't have luxury of being on the East Coast. I'm in New York, and so they don't even live remotely close to Vermont. And so for them, trying these breweries that only distribute for 50 miles out, they can't get that beer. And for me to be able to go up there, because I live like a reasonable distance, and for me to be able to trade with them and they're able to trade with me, I think there's a sense of sharing beer and people being able to try beers they've never had before. And so I think hoarding is not too big of an issue when you're able to spread it around, spread the wealth, and only keep a little portion for yourself, which I'm doing. I'm not actually drinking that much of the beer. Then number three, so talking about my trip, I recently went up to Vermont and from New York, so that was on a Friday, most recent this Friday. And so basically I woke up at like 5 a.m., which is super early for me. And I woke up at 5, went up to Vermont. We hit Hill Farmstead around 1 p.m., I'd say. I mean, the drive's not that long, but we didn't get on the road until 6. There's some stops. So at 1 o'clock in Greensboro, it's hard to get there, by the way, if there's a snowstorm. There's a 2-foot-inch snowstorm right before we went. And it's actually really impressive that Vermont was able to clean up the snow that quickly. But otherwise, it's actually a really easy drive, 5-6 hours from New York. It's not too bad. Greensboro, Vermont, by the way, is middle of nowhere. Hill Farmstead is nothing. It's like back roads. It's really, just dirt roads to get there. And when you get there, there is nothing there. It literally is a line. Hill Farmstead Brewery is a line. There's no indoor bathroom. There's no bar. There's no seating. There's no food. There's no nothing. There's no amenities. It literally is just a wooden brewery, building, and it's just a line. So you go in, you stand online. We waited about 45 minutes, an hour, and while you're waiting online, there's a waitress that's working there, and she basically brings tastings. So you pay $5 for 4 tastings, which is really awesome. And you get to try a bunch of the beers. So obviously you get to try the beers before you get to buy them. By the time you're done with the line, your tasting's done, and then at the front of the line you get 3 bottles of growlers. So whatever size growler, you only get 3. You get 3 fills, and then they had two. You can get 2 Bière de Norma. They had Drie Fontaine Eau de Gouze, and they had La Vermontois, which is a Hill Farmstead collaboration. So picked up some bottles. They got our growlers filled. Got some Hill Farmstead and glasses, and then just left. And that's it. That's all you can do. Then we drove down back to Montpelier in Vermont, and that is we went to Mount Hunger. And Mount Hunger is where they have cases of Heady Topper. A lot of other stores you can maybe get a 4-pack here and there, but Mount Hunger is where they get a huge shipment. You show up at 3 p.m. on a Friday, and you're able to buy a full entire case, 24 cans. And luckily, we were actually able to get Double Sunshine as well. So you can get a full case of Heady Topper and Double Sunshine. Actually, it's pretty decent. So 45 minutes in, there were still just Heady Toppers, just cases of them, just sitting on the ground. So actually, you didn't have to rush in and get there at 3 o'clock. You could actually have been a bit late. Then we went to our Airbnb and we checked in. And Airbnb, definitely check that out if you're traveling anywhere that's a bit remote, or if you don't feel like staying in a hotel. Basically, this lovely couple who lives in Greensboro had a house that was pretty large, so they were able to keep their attic, give their attic and a bathroom area for us to stay in. So we didn't really bother them, they didn't bother us, and basically it was $84 for the 3 of us to get 3 beds. We stayed there nice and cozy. We were only there one night anyway, so it's not a big deal. We went also to a Hill Farmstead event at what was the bar called? I forget the name of the bar. It's in West Glover. Anyway, there's Jackie O's, a brewery in Ohio. The brewer came to visit Hill Farmstead and brew with them. So we were able to try a bunch of Jackie O's beers, some different Hill Farmstead beers, and then that was just the event for the night. And then we came back and we just called it the night. We didn't even want to drink any of our haul. We were just so tired, so we passed out. On Saturday morning, we woke up at 6 a.m. to get to Montpelier again. At Montpelier, at 8 a.m., they had a farmer's market. And the farmer's market in Montpelier is where Sean Lawson sells his beer generally. So you show up at 8 a.m., you wait online, and you get your ticket, sort of like a deli ticket, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so you get your ticket. Then you have to come back at 10 a.m. So we got breakfast. We came back at 10 a.m. And then basically there's the farmer's market's open. You can buy cheese, meats, maple syrup, whatever. But also in the back, there's Mr. Sean Lawson and his wife selling Lawson's Finest. So we were able to get Double Sunshine, Sticky Ale, and Facein Imperial Stout. And so actually, interesting enough, on the blog, they said not to drive hours and hours away for this specifically. So actually only 60 people came. Only 60 people came for those tickets, and they had 200. So I assume that means they had, the allotment was 3 Double Sunshines originally. So 3 Double Sunshines with 200 tickets, that's 600 Double Sunshines. They only gave out 60, so they allowed us to double our allotment. So we were able to get 6 Double Sunshines each, and a bunch of other stuff. And so that was a surprise. So everything worked out great. By the time it was 11, 12 o'clock, we just drove back down. We didn't have anything really to do in Vermont. It was pretty cold. It was snowy still. Yeah, we drove back down. Took about 5-6 hours, and that's about it. A lot of driving on my part. I was the one that drove the whole way, but it was a really awesome trip to get all this awesome beer. And yeah, hopefully I'll be enjoying it soon. I've yet to enjoy it, so I'll bring you guys those reviews up when I enjoy it. So until next time, guys, cheers. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, let me know. So yeah, that was my Vermont update. Later, guys. Cheers.